to be back in front of our fans. I thought our players, played well in all three phases. Certainly some things that we can improve. But coming off a short week to be able to come out and perform the way they did, proud of the guys' performance tonight.
Another critical win for Oregon football down the stretch. A Friday night showdown in Autzen Stadium where nothing could go wrong for the Ducks. No rain, no worries, no problems. A night filled with promise ends with promise as history is made for some and boils into frustration for others as the Golden Gophers get sent packing all the way back home to Minnesota. Plus,
excited to get back to work this week. We got the weekend over with. It's time to go and get our minds right and move forward, and that's what we got in front of us. We're moving forward, and we're ready to get ourselves going.
After suffering one of the most embarrassing losses in Oregon State football history, the Beavers find themselves on the road in Tulsa, hoping to reclaim some of that lost positive momentum that they had from just a few weeks ago. Would they? Find out right now.
Now, this is college football game night.
Well, welcome into another Saturday and another edition of the College Football Game Night. I'm Brett Taylor. It has been a wild last 24 hours on the gridiron, from the high school quarterfinals in the state coming to a close to the Friday Night Lights magic happening at Autzen Stadium. And that's where we start tonight, taking a trip back into the past from just a short 24 hours ago as Oregon welcomed in Minnesota for the first time into Eugene, Oregon. The Ducks, of course, ready to do battle and ground control to Major Tom. Oregon football is ready for a liftoff. First quarter, the Ducks first to touch the end zone as well. Jordan Davison powers his way past the goal line. The extra effort paying big dividends. 11 tutties on the season for the freshman. But you know he wants more. Davison slicing and dicing his way through traffic. It's a 14-0 lead for the Ducks early. The fans, you know they want some more as well. So let's give it on to them with the second iteration of the Beast Quest in the Pacific Northwest. Noah Whittington will not be stopped and cannot be stopped. Take a good look at this, kids. This is why you never give up on the play. 40 yards to the house. One of the best efforts I've ever seen on the field of Autzen Stadium. The running game doing its job, and Dante Moore certainly doing his. The poise, the patience, paying off on the big pickup to Jamari Johnson. Oregon is back in the red zone couple plays later. Moore looking for that end zone strike. Who does he find? The best tight end in college football, of course. Kenyon Sadiq, good to have him back healthy. Oregon dominates from start to finish in quarters 1 through 2 and heads into the break with a 28-6 lead. The Ducks did not punt the ball once in the first half. The running game extremely efficient between the legs of Noah Whittington and Jordan Davison, but the hidden gem through the first 2 quarters, Dante Moore. 18 of 20 through the air, 200 yards and a touchdown. He was extremely accurate in all 3 layers, the short game, the mid-range, and of course, the deep ball. He just couldn't miss. So you'd think maybe, second half, he might slow down a little bit, right? Minnesota gonna be recovering, adjusting, wrong, but we'll get to that in just a second. The Oregon faithful still as rowdy as ever, but quieted just a bit here on the Drake Lindsey to Javon Tracy connection. The Golden Gophers finally find the end zone to make it a 2-score game. The Ducks needing that immediate response. They've got one. Moore, the layered throw to the side of the end zone. Jeremiah McClellan, what a catch. Gets the foot down by a hair before heading out of bounds. The play would be reviewed and upheld. It's a touchdown. The celebrations on all night long. And Eugene, fast forward to the 4th. Jay Harris from 12 yards out to the sideline he goes. Everybody getting into the action, and these fans are absolutely loving it. Oregon's talent, too much to handle on offense, and too much to handle on defense. Kingston Lopa, look out from below, the leg tackle. It's a rout in Eugene as Oregon improves to 8-0 in Friday night games at Autzen and 9-1 on the season. Here's head coach Dan Lanning after the win.
Well, certainly a point of emphasis for us, coming off that we got to be better at beginning of games. We knew we wanted to take the ball. They have a history of deferring. We thought we were going to have a chance to be on offense first, and we wanted to start fast. And ultimately we did that. I think the only times we really hurt ourselves is when we, start off with negative play for us, offensively. But to be able to start quick was important for us tonight.
So the Ducks keep heading in the right direction with only 2 games left in the season with a critical 42-13 win over Minnesota Friday night. Oregon once again moves to 8-0 all-time under the Friday Night Lights at Autzen Stadium. Couple of reasons why. The stout rushing attack comes through again, averaging 6 yards a carry in the dub. And then the biggest nugget to me, Dante Moore. You see what can happen when he can play in good weather The kid is frankly just elite. 27 of 30 passing, 306 yards through the air, and the 2 touchdowns. His 90% completion rate, a new record in the program, surpassing Marcus Mariota's record of 87%, set all the way back in 2012 against USC. Dante Moore continues to show game in and game out why he should still be considered a Heisman frontrunner. He makes the special throws that only he can make, and also cashes in on the throws that he should be making. His performance last night, despite not being against a powerhouse program, will certainly be one to remember. But I think it's also important to remember that Moore can't have a night like this without the support of his teammates.
It was a great performance by Dante, but I think he'd be the first to tell you, too, some unbelievable catches within that, some great protection. Really efficient today on offense, which is, pleasing to see. So great performance by our QB. Been impressed with him all year. Glad we had great weather that he could have the opportunity to throw it and take advantage of.
Just got to give a shout out to the 10 other players with me on the field. Just in general with them making the spectacular catches, the front 5 giving me time in the pocket, the running backs, opening the run game. So, overall, I couldn't do it without them. It feels great to have that. It's a true blessing for sure. But without my teammates, I wouldn't have gotten done.
So with a historic performance, Dante Moore joins a list of some very exclusive company in Oregon football history. His 90% completion rate, now the best in program history, once again surpassing Marcus Mariota, who's second on that list now with his 87% completion rate set in 2012. Dylan Gabriel, Bo Nix, shortly to fall afterwards with 85, 85, and 84%. 3 Oregon quarterbacks in the last 3 years have shown they have plenty of talent on the field and showed it once again late last night. That trend not trickling down for some across the nation today, or from a certain point of view, maybe it did, especially at Texas A&M, where the Aggies hang on by a literal thread, down 30-3 at halftime and come all the way storming back by a single point. Michigan hangs on to win on a last-second field goal as time expires. And then the biggest upset of the day has to be perhaps number 4 Alabama falling to number 11 Oklahoma. How will the rankings shake up in the next couple of days or so when they're released on Tuesday? We'll only have to find out. Plus, number 17 USC survives a scare against number 21 Iowa, giving Oregon another top 25 meeting this coming Saturday. So while the nation moves on and tries to digest what exactly happened with all the upsets and all the near upsets on the day, Oregon State football was just hoping to get things back to normal. After that embarrassing loss to Sam Houston a week ago, the Beavers finding themselves on the road earlier in the day in a bright and early game in Tulsa this morning, a team that the program had never faced, and it's more than 100 years on the field. So unfamiliar territory for the Bees, much like their season so far. And much like their season, the struggles continue on coming. Dominic Richardson straight up the gut for the Golden Hurricanes, nearly untouched as he walks his way into the end zone. The theme of the season continues for OSU. Later in the first, it's Baylor Hayes. The RPO pulls it back and connects with Brody Foley. Stays on his feet, and the extra effort puts him into the end zone. Oregon State has got to get something going right. 3rd and 4 for the Beavers upcoming. It's Jabari Johnson looking downfield, trying to connect, and overthrown by a mile. Johnson would get benched after the drive stall, so maybe Malik Murphy can discover a spark on 3rd and 15. Murphy backpedaling, pressured, trying to get the crosser, and no. Flat in the turf it goes. The frustrations continue this season for Oregon State football in a game where effort felt like it may have been faltering again. Maybe it was the loss last week or the results this season, but one way or another, just an abysmal first half by Oregon State football, both offensively and defensively. 85 total yards of offense. Jabari Johnson and Malik Murphy both see the field in the first half and both can't get anything going. Just 7 of 19 through the air combined. That's 37% completion rate if you were wondering, trying to do the math at home. The running game, not much better either, averaging just 1.8 yards per carry compared to Tulsa's 6.2. Definitely one of the worst first half starts by the Beavers this season. But could they turn it around in the second half? Only down by 17. Well, first drive for the Golden Hurricanes, and oh boy, Richardson finding the gap and a tight window on the left-hand side. Off to the races he goes, down all the way to the 5-yard line. Tulsa looking to end this one in the third quarter with a shutout on its hands. A couple plays later, it's the tight end. It's Foley in at QB on the Wildcat and marches on in past the sticks. It's 24-0 Golden Hurricanes at this point. Things keep going from bad to worse for Oregon State. Fourth quarter, Jay Allen finds the gap, cuts back inside, and legitimately untouched as he makes his way into the end zone. Avert your eyes, Beaver fans. This was not a pretty one. The hope that Oregon State football had gained with its back-to-back wins against Lafayette and Washington State has seemingly magically disappeared. And even with the 2 late Beaver touchdowns to close this game, not much more room for confidence heading into this coming bye week and into the final game of this season. The week after, Oregon State falls to 2-9 on the year after a 31-14 loss to Tulsa. One of the worst seasons on record in program history continues to get worse with each passing week for the Beavers. The lone bright spot in this game, if you want to call it that, Tristan Tia, who closed out the game 8 of 11 for 141 yards, along with 2 touchdowns during garbage time. It's still a little bit of a bright spot, but the issue is the decision at quarterback continues to remain murky for this Oregon State program. But with 1 game left on the season, why not potentially give the freshman a chance when the Beavers take on Washington State in Pullman in just a couple of weeks? Decisions to make for this program heading into this bye week, and hopefully in the next week, we'll get more answers as they get set for their final game of the regular season. But still to come on the college football game night, a down-to-the-wire game in Idaho. Can Southern Oregon do what it couldn't do 2 weeks ago against Carroll and pull off an upset? Stick around to find out.